This is possibly the absolute worst fight we have ever seen booked. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis, who is a full 70 pounds lighter than him, is official for November 15th on Netflix in Atlanta. So in this video, we're going to talk about the worst matchup in the history of combat sports. I'm Wyatt. This is Fight Society. Now here we have the official announcement from Jake Paul via his Instagram. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis, State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia, Friday, November 14th. Wow, is all I have to say. This is an absolutely terrible fight because you have Tank Davis, champion, undefeated, big star, one of the biggest stars in boxing right now. And then you have, aside from the massive weight difference, you have a YouTuber turned boxer who has essentially only fought people far out of his prime, like total unks, like fighting unks, grandpas, retirees. He pulls them out of the retirement home and he says, hey, can you make 200 pounds? Fought 60-something-year-old Mike Tyson in what was very obviously, to me, in my opinion, an unspoken agreement to not hurt each other, because everybody felt pretty finessed that they hyped this up like, oh my God, is Jake Paul going to get knocked out, for them to essentially touch spar for the entire fight with 16-ounce gloves. That's literally sparring. Now, there's a massive issue with the weight class because obviously this is an exhibition fight, but right here from Tony Has Died, one of my favorite meme pages. If you thought Jake Paul's antics couldn't get more scummy, and that's true. You have Jake Paul, 6'1", who has fought as low as like 185, but as high as 220, normally around 200-ish, 205, going up against Gervonta Tank Davis, who's literally 5'5", 135 pounds. He was a 135-pound champion. I understand Jake Paul's selling point that he says right here, size versus speed, power versus precision, all that. There's literally weight classes for a reason. Tank Davis is actually in trouble in this fight. He's fighting a heavyweight. It literally makes no competitive sense at all whatsoever. This is taking place because you have Jake Paul, who needs a co-star. He can't really sell against a Tommy Fury, or who was the one guy that had like 5 pro fights that he fought? Ryan Borland or something like that. I can't remember. Him and one other guy. Nobody watched those fights. Jake Paul tried the legit build himself as a contender boxing route and nobody cared. So he went back to the gimmick fights. So this is not really about the competitiveness of the fight. It's clout chasing 101. It's the two biggest names that will sign the same piece of paper to fight each other for a shit ton of money. Because Tank has knockout power, even though he's way smaller. You already know that Jake Paul's going to like push this, like, I'm fighting one of the biggest knockout artists in the game. And then Tank Davis, this is probably the biggest check out there for him, because the other options are a Lamont Roach rematch, Lomachenko, Devin Haney, guys like that. But this really is like a McGregor versus Mayweather type of fight, with the exception, being that Conor McGregor was actually an elite combat sports athlete from another very high-level sport in a high-level organization. It wasn't just like low-level pro with a big name in Jake Paul versus world champion undefeated Tank Davis. But this is literally just essentially name value on pay-per-view. The fight is going to be terrible, and we might see something exciting, but they're probably going to spar in the same way that Mike Tyson did. This really sucks for boxing because you have a sport that already struggles with legitimacy, controversial scorecards, the biggest fights can't get made. It literally took Dana White being the promoter and the Saudis bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars and starting a boxing league with Dana White for Canelo versus Crawford to happen. Obviously, you know, Mayweather Pacquiao happened way after their primes. Boxing has this legitimacy problem. And you can see right here, other boxers are not happy with this fight getting booked. Here you have Ryan Garcia saying boxing is officially WWE. He also said, I strongly doubt this happens. No way Gervonta accepted 195. Gervonta is already small, and you really think he would decide to balloon up to 195? You got to be delusional to think this is going to happen. Lamont Roach said, told you, LOL, duck. It really goes on and on, because here is Shakur Stevenson's take on it.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money. But from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me. And if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
there's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was obviously before the fight was announced. But Shakur Stevenson seems to think that Gervonta Davis, from a skill standpoint, can pull off a win here. Now, I do agree with Ryan Garcia talking about boxing as WWE because this is very clearly not a competitive matchup. This is strictly for the sake of having these massive names on the same headlining main event, Paul versus Davis. Quick break. If you're loving this video and you want more from Fight Society, click that join button down below to become a channel member today, where you'll get access to members only live streams, behind the scenes vlogs, and all the unfiltered stuff that we don't post to the main channel. Back to the video. I'm sure that the hardcore boxing fans, you guys know this is mostly an MMA channel, but we do talk about the big boxing stuff. I'm sure the hardcore fans feel super disrespected. They're like, what the hell? We wanted this fight, we wanted that fight, and we're getting Jake Paul exhibition. And this comment right here is true. Boxing has been dead. Now, Jake Paul, of course, doesn't care about like the integrity of the sport. These guys like Ryan Garcia, who are big time boxers, grew up watching boxing, trying to be pro boxers. They obviously care, but Jake Paul just wants to kind of like have the most chaotic matchups possible to get the biggest pay-per-view payday. For Tank, there's no way that this goes well for Tank Davis, because if he wins, they go, oh yeah, world champion. Of course you were supposed to beat that YouTuber. If he struggles but wins, they go, ooh, Tank is washed. He struggled against Jake Paul. He still won, but he had a hard time. And then, of course, if he loses to Jake Paul, and him and boxing lose their credibility. For Jake, this is super low risk, massive payday. If he loses, he goes, yeah, but it was Tank Davis, world champ. If he wins, he gets to say, I beat a world champ. Give me a world title shot against a guy 50 pounds heavier than Tank Davis. This fight points out just how broken boxing is. Dana White's been saying this for years, but boxing is completely broken. There is no structure. It's all about the biggest payday, the biggest spectacle. And that's why Dana White is a part of boxing now with the Zuffa Boxing partnered with Riyadh season, is because they're bringing a UFC structure, which is a very rigid structure for combat sports, at least, to boxing. And I think that that means really good things for the future of boxing. But of course, in the meantime, we have this type of shit getting booked. And to be honest, I don't have a problem with Jake Paul boxing. It's just annoying when this whole freak show side, whatever it is, interferes in actual combat sports. Like, just go fight like KSI or retired guys like Nate Diaz or Jorge Masvidal, Anderson Silva. But pulling top tier talent out of their prime to do these sideshows is only good for Jake Paul. I know, like I said, he doesn't care about the sport, but I don't mind it as long as we're not missing out on other big fights. I mean, Logan Paul wanted to fight on UFC 300, and Dana White said absolutely not, right? I don't even think he texted Logan Paul back, because that diminishes the sport. It makes the sport look like a joke. That's why this is not even really like a boxing fight. It's more of like a freak show. It's like a thing. It's a thing. It's not even a fight. It's just, it's a thing. And what should be happening instead? I mean, Tank Davis should be fighting real contenders, Lamont Roach, Lomachenko, whoever else is in his weight class. Shakur Stevenson, that's a fight that's been talked about. Devin Haney. And of course, these guys are worried about their money in the short term, not the sport in the long term. But I still think that this fight should not get put together. And I honestly would be pretty surprised if it happens. But if this fight does take place, just an early prediction for me, Jake Paul knocks out Gervonta Davis. Dead serious. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you want more from Fight Society? Like and subscribe below this video and click the join button to become a channel member today to get access to behind the scenes vlogs and members only live streams.